You've been listening to us for a while, haven't you? We can tell because you're up to speed. We can feel you coming right along with us. So we're going to make this introduction brief before we turn it over to the madness of your world. So, as you're exploring the variety that surrounds you and you're launching these rockets, there is this expansion that is taking place within you. And the question that we want to ask all day, every day is, are you keeping up with your own expansion? And the answer is yes if you feel wonderful, not so much if you are not feeling wonderful. You can tell by the way you feel. The way you feel is an indicator of one thing and one thing only. It's an indicator of you keeping up with your own expansion. It's an indicator of whether you are in this moment perceiving whatever it is that you are giving your attention to in the same way that the source within you is perceiving it. So when you care about how you feel, you're coming into perfect alignment with who you really are. And nothing short of that will be enough for you. So if you've been listening to us for a while, you've been hearing us talking about law of attraction, and you've been hearing us talking about launching these rockets, and we've been telling you that you've been sending out a vibrational version of what you want, and that the source within you is standing in this vibrational reality. We've given it the name the vortex. In fact, we wrote an entire book about the vortex because we wanted to get your attention upon this vibrational reality that you have created that really is who you are, this vibrational version of you to which you want to achieve vibrational alignment. We so want you to know about that vibrational reality because we also want you to know that anything short of being a vibrational match to that vibrational reality, where source stands, where you have evolved to, anything short of that is a diminishment of your moment and doesn't have to be. You get to have all that you've asked for. You just have to figure out how to vibrationally do that. So then we began explaining to you that while there is this vibrational version of you, of all that you want, that when and only when you find vibrational alignment with that vibrational version. For example, if you've been asking for more money and you feel shortage today, maybe even afraid because a big bill came and you can't pay it, that feeling in your gut that you would describe as fear or uneasiness or disappointment, that feeling is your indicator that you're not up to speed with the money that's in your vibrational reality. The money that's in your vortex still stands there ready to be realized by you. But the fear in your belly is your indicator that you're not up to speed with it, and so it can't cross into your experience. It can't become realized by you. Now, creation is just about that. We want you to understand that all creation is about vibrational alignment. So now we want to say to you that every thought that you offer, whether it's something wanted or not wanted, creates a vibrational version of it that in the beginning does not have enough momentum to actualize into your experience. You've launched a lot of rockets of wanted and unwanted, and some of them have more momentum than others. But how they show up in your experience, how often they come, how steadily they're there, and how they feel when they get there is all about the momentum, which is all about the air time. It's all about the think time. It's all about the talk time. It's all about the attention time. Biggest word, it's all about the focus that you have been giving to them, you see. So that's why we now want to talk to you about your point of attraction, because you have laid the pathways to all kinds of things, wanted and unwanted. The question is, which of those pipelines is wide open and delivering a lot of payload to you, and which of those pipelines is closed and not giving you anything? So we began talking about this point of attraction, reaching for different things to call it. For a while we called it the grid. No one really liked that word, the grid. But the grid is sort of a framework that will be filled in later with the details that you will call real life reality. It's sort of like the frame of the house before you put the roof on, before you put the walls up, before you put the pretty stuff in it. So you're standing in your point of attraction all the time. Now we've evolved this analogy to say to you that this grid is spinning because your point of attraction is gathering cooperative components, meaning gathering the components that equal who you are, and that there is a vibrational spinning grid that you could liken to the emotions on your emotional scale. In other words, there's that high-flying grid that feels like love and passion, eagerness. And there's that low-flying grid that feels like despair, grief, fear. And then there's the overwhelming grid. It occurred to Esther the other day that it's like the seven dwarfs. There's happy and grumpy, dysfunctional, passive aggressive. We're up to about 200 dwarfs now. But you know which grid you are. You know where you are. If ornery people seem to be everywhere you go, you just kind of got to admit that you're on the ornery disc. And you're having the ornery meeting with those others who have gathered there. So we're going to be talking here today about what you've got going on. You've got some habits of thought that aren't serving you. You've got some habits of thought that are serving you. You've got some dormant beliefs that don't affect you very often, but every now and again one of them is activated by something you see or something that you hear, and then it begins to affect you for a little while. And we really want to call your attention to this really important thing, and that is your point of attraction is now. It's right now. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It only matters what you're doing vibrationally now. And you can get so that what happened yesterday doesn't affect what you're offering vibrationally now, but you've got to understand that you are a vibrational being emanating a signal, and you've got to understand that your thoughts are the reason for that signal, what you focus upon, and you got to understand that the way you feel is an indication of how that blends with who you really are and what you really want. But most of all, we want you to leave this gathering knowing for sure that you can manage to have control over what disc you are on. Esther was at the beach the other day, and her little kids are trying to learn how to surf, and they're using boogie boards, and no one knows what they're doing. They just sort of splash around, and occasionally a wave gives them a good ride. And Esther didn't get in the ocean with them. She was just watching from a distance, and they were having fun, and so they had no conversation about how to go about it. And so since then, Esther's been eating lunch at the beach every day and watching the surfers. And so it occurred to her that the ocean is relentless. Are you aware of that? The waves are just coming and coming and coming and coming. It's a momentum. No one calls up and says, I'm here, start the waves. There is a momentum, a pretty predictable momentum. So it really, for the surfers, is about positioning themselves in the wave. So Esther notices that these teenagers that she is watching, they're new to the game too. They're just learning. They're trying to find their placement in the wave. So here comes a wave, and it just sort of washes over them and takes the board right out of their hands. And here comes another one, and it sort of washes over them. And here comes another one, and it just washes over them, and they get nothing from it. And after a little while, they're watching over their shoulder, and they're watching the wave coming. And as they're watching the wave coming, now they're on the board, and they begin paddling with the wave. They begin getting their momentum up to about what they have now calculated through trial and error of what the momentum of this wave is. And if they get their momentum timed precisely just ahead of that wave, then that wave just comes right up and carries them all the way to the shore. A nice, long, really fun ride. And so Esther, she's writing in her journal because she wants to guide the kids when they come back to Del Mar. I figured some things out about this. If you're not moving with the wave when it comes, it will knock you over. Or at least it will not give you a ride. But if you're up to speed with the wave, so you all have set the waves in motion. You set the wave in motion before you ever got here into this physical body. And as you've been sifting through the contrast of your life, you've been setting the wave in motion. You've got a relentless energy wave machine pushing you forward into the completion of anything that you want. But you've got to be up to speed with the wave. You've got to be ready for the wave. You've got to be ready for that wave. And so That's what that inspiration is. In other words, if you've been fussing and worrying, if you've been noticing that things aren't working out well, then you're not catching that wave. So the real question is, what wave are you catching? And the answer to that question is easy for you to answer. Did you catch the wave to prosperity? Is there more money than you have any sensible use for flowing through your experience? Then that's the wave you caught. You practiced it and you got up to speed with it and you were ready for it and you were ready when it came and you rode it. Yes? Or did you catch the wave of not enough money? Because that wave's coming too. You're the one that set those waves in motion. And so you've got to determine what it is that you want. You've got to define what you want, but you've also got to practice your readiness to be in sync with that which you want. And there's just no better way. Esther watched and she learned and she wrote it down and she will say it. But those kids are not going to learn it from her words. They're going to have to get out there in the waves and they will find their relationship with those waves. They will. And you all do too. You get to determine if you've picked a wave that's leading you toward abundance or a wave that's leading you toward lack of it. You get to pick whether you've picked a wave that is leading you toward clarity or a wave that's leading you toward confusion. You get to pick the wave that's leading you toward progressive people that are really fun to co-create with or troublesome people that are criticizing and critical of everything. You get to choose. You get to choose which wave in the stock market industry you ride. Are you riding with the high flyers or are you riding with those who are bottoming out? You get to choose it all, you see. You get to choose. And you can just pick it out of the sky. You get to choose it. So when we say to you, what do you choose? Do you choose a $100,000 increase in your income this year, or do you choose things being about the same? Well, I choose more. Well, if you choose $100,000, do you choose $1 million increase? A man sat in the hot seat last week and said he had just become one of the 1,000th wealthiest people in the world. And in 2008, he was addicted to drugs and had no prosperity at all. And through application of some things he is learning now, his prosperity is really flowing. Do you choose it? Do you want it? Would you like to have it? Is this something that you choose? What do you choose? Do you choose a lot? Do you choose a little? And what we've noticed about you is you choose what you expect to be able to deliver. You're not choosing what you want. You're choosing what you think you are capable under the current situation and based upon the standard that you've been living. You are evaluating what you think you might allow to come to yourself by what you have already allowed. And that is not the rationale that we are wanting you to choose. We want you to choose what you want. And then we want you to find thoughts that line you up with that wave that you've chosen. And it is our promise to you. This time-space reality will deliver to you the ride that you want. A lot of people are afraid to choose. They're afraid to choose because the waves have been beating them up. I chose. It didn't work out well for me. I got beat up. I got out there. I thought I was playing in a really big game. I went over there to Hawaii. It was the pipeline. The biggest wave in the world, and all it did was break my neck. It beat me up. And we say, choose the little waves at first until you show yourself. But there are no limits. Just choose it and line up with it and receive it. That's it. That's it. Nobody is holding you apart from anything but you and your own contradictory thoughts. Helpful?
Yes.
We thought so. Enough?
No.
Did you like that? Is that something that you can work with? Can you feel your own wave? Do you understand you produce your wave through your desires? Do you understand that you've already produced it, that life has caused you to produce a relentless wave, and that now your work is just to line up with it? Do you get that? Do you believe that you create your own reality? Do you accept that you are vibrational? And do you understand the part your thoughts play in it? And can you feel what disc this current thought puts you on? So, if it's a good feeling thought, would you like to increase the momentum of it? If it's a bad feeling thought, would you like to decrease the momentum of it? So if it's a good feeling thought, would you like to increase the momentum by becoming more specific? And if it's a bad feeling thought, would you like to decrease the momentum by becoming more general? You've got control of your board.